I got it. uh, this is called Some Approaches to Lovemaking. I wouldn't eat that if I were you, or if you were me. You wouldn't eat me in the fashionable U.S. horizontal band, placating other species, mold and lumber. When you expect to make love or book a conference center, then just make love and book a conference center. To get health authorized via an active orientation. Use iron-on FDIC love to ensure making love gets you regular, keeps you in the loop, helps you make more Americans make love in some easy Euro show-through, step-by-step process. Stitch in order to exercise, PCI DSS and ID theft gets you more regular than human, really. If getting regular is as human as making love, lovers handling customer card data with kid gloves, you can have a major impact on almost invisible fabrics. But if you've never done it before with a provisional cast on, before us making love in the open air, all legal and ethical requirements leak refrigerant across industries. All of your notion patterns and quilting make a difficult love happen. Drapery fabric, upholstery fabric, bridal and dancewear fabric, faux fur. But the use of these opinions is no substitute for a kind of legal lovemaking to help Boston's disadvantaged students to quilt baskets and zippers. Wet ring vacuum pumps generate additional water flow, which in turn compensates for the lack of lovemaking in forlorn area codes. Here's a link to interfacing large and varied notions, including simplicity with a capital S through reasonable lovemaking. A female witness to a pocket watch theft once made love in arrears, quilting patterns and coaching an invitation away from the skankier cast-on, minimal or managing a large selection of art supplies and zigzag machines. The best place to comparison shop for a man's notion used to be a bunch of barely visible AEQS online shops, which now applies to all parts of the project, to quickly wind any thread or yarn into a delicate torpor, as making love is a delicate proposition. So bottom line requirements behoove our arreared fantasies to open up shop in the cybernetic casting of small, sensuality-tinged quilting of zigzagging methods into a demarcated sigh or request. Bloom colors may vary from a functionality and scalability, scarcely remanded for the synthetic-based mud we once were using, recently implemented emerging from a more basic need, which finds us tenderly coaching and quilting the market, cornering the handbags and duffel bags of emotional commerce which compose the notion we're after. Utopian since the breakfast and a notion toward growth to boot, the right delivery system thresholds environmentally sustainable, not to mention adorable, curvy obsession in the atmosphere, as unabashed as an ambulance passing through the movies. You will need, if you want to make more notions, a process for lovemaking that does not disregard bottom-line requirements, some goo that offers a site for quilting, not to mention, on the whole, an air of familiarity and friendliness, whelming patterned notions against making love on quilts, bedspreads, and drapery, aching in the stern notion that is establish a kind of yet supple believability as lovers on swings in the park at night. Agreeing, I wouldn't eat that if or before I were you. Swinging in the late years of an empire subsumed by bottom-line requirements, a yet not to mention compostable compunction, believing in itself, establishing lights as a mere drapery transposing very human disgust, not to mention lust for a notion that won't give, an embroidery we can, in an orderly fashion, carry with us through the desert, divining important predicted ribbon from yon market. Okay. Like, not to be too theatrical, but I have to kind of, okay. Yeah, I'm actually going to read my piece about Buddha. Buddha. Inkgrabber.com. You know that's where Buddha grew up, don't you? When you see Buddha on the road, you're supposed to run him over. You're supposed to extinguish your anger in the glove box, your muffled voice yelling, "Have one on me, Buddha, this is an attempt to collect a dead Bjornsson." Buddha gave my Audi a celery-like finish. I said, "Thanks, Buddha Puce Carhorn Stevenson." You look at him from the front and it's like, whoa, dude means business, but then he turns around and he's walking away and it's like, whoa, dude likes to party. Buddha walked right in and sat right down. I said, "Hey, Buddha, Mandidal Car Wash Cookson, Buddha wore a chartreuse estimation of the future and a hinky medallion. When you see Buddha on the road galloping along, you're supposed to pull over and challenge him to a game of laser tag. Buddha Googled, what does a man need to dress like Colonel Sanders? The cell phone fell off his lap. Buddha occupying the sinkhole. I said, grab a brewski. Buddha poppin' J's Tinson. I said, too soon, Buddha streaming the acid reflux Borkson. When you see Buddha on the road, you're supposed to throw it into reverse and try to sell him some Vicodin. Buddha Googled Buddhist reflections. Cell phones were tossed immediately after use. I said, go fly a kite, the Buddha inculcating webinar Varmson. Buddha then broke open a filling on a fair trade Cheeto. Buddha next ordered the Fireball. Buddha had designs on the same cube. I said, forgive me, Buddha Fresh Gas X Tint Robinson. I said, ole, Buddha, don't call me Kelly Clarkson. Buddha had faxed over his living will, even though it kept popping up on the monitor. I said, text me at Buddha Fitness Tiger for nighttime stargazing Aronson. When you see Buddha on the road, you're supposed to pitch in. You're supposed to text, I want a big, beautiful Buddhist divorce to 69 cares 010. I said, sit on it, Buddha Bad Babysitter Robertson. Buddha's belly button fell off. His jaw dropped when his scrotum dropped. This is called, I once had all this gold. That I blew on chocolate, that I blew on cotton, that I blew on seedlings, that I blew on water, that I blew on ammo, that I blew on lumber, that I blew on candy, that I blew on feathers, that I blew on cred, that I blew on graphics, that I blew on videos, that I blew on goodwill, that I blew on mags, that I blew on corn, that I blew on memos, that I blew on weeklies, that I blew on Wheaties, that I blew on chews, that I blew on sentimentality, that I blew on rope, that I blew on logos, that I blew on vicissitude, that I blew on nudity, that I blew on visceral display, that I blew on mercury, that I blew on sex advice, that I blew on coagulated aspects, that I blew on elixirs, that I blew on salacious banter, that I blew on guac, that I blew on chips, that I blew on handles, that I blew on rocks, that I blew on sandbags, that I blew on networking, that I blew on boxers, that I blew on negatives, that I blew on derivatives, that I blew on necking, that I blew on face, that I blew on mules, that I blew on camels, that I blew on gorillas, that I blew on the last, that I blew on the air, that I blew on support, that I blew on a network, that I blew on a scheme, that I blew on the cream, that I blew on the bag, that I blew on the Jeep, that I blew on the cheapness, that I blew on the furniture, that I blew on the relatives, relatives, relative, relatives.